Hi again, listeners. This is Alan, or some people might know him as Big Al, but that okay, but that doesn't really matter. Um, Wanting to chat to you again, and I've been wanting, so I do mention it quite from time to time, but it's just so great that people are commenting now on some of these series, and it just helps me a lot, especially if there's questions that come in, because then I know that you guys are interested and you want to know what's going on. But it's great. I'm going to just keep talking and keep putting it out there. And I just hope you're listening, and I hope it makes some type of change in your lives, especially because the whole idea is to just make the public and everyone aware of birds, and just get that love for birds back. So this series that I'm actually putting out is basically, well, that's what it is, basic, because I want to keep it easy so we can actually get into and study some of these birds. But I really, really appreciate it. And, especially if you've got any questions, put them out there, put them on the comments, and that'll make me actually want to talk about those different things as well, so I can include them in my talks. But on to this week's series or show. I think it was around about series 2, I think. I'm not going to go back and check it out, but I did mention endemic birds to Southern Africa. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to talk about endemic birds to South Africa. And I'm not going to include Lesotho and Swaziland, because when we look at the bird guides, they normally give you Southern Africa, which includes Namibia and the surrounding places. So what I'm going to do, all I want to do is talk about those birds that can only be found in our borders, in the South African borders. And you know what? It's going to be, I'm so proud of them, because, these birds have been here. They enjoy our life here in South Africa, and they decide, listen, I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere else. How cool is that? So, as we know, local is lekker. And as I said, if these little feathered friends of ours love it so much, they want to stay. How cool is that? And we can be so proud of them, because, there's nowhere you're going to ever find these birds anywhere in the world except here. And I'm just hoping that people who are listening outside of our borders will want to come and see these birds that can only be found here in South Africa. We can talk about some of the Southern African endemic birds as well, maybe a little bit later, or near endemic birds. But for now, I'm just going to talk about these endemic birds to South Africa and how we're so proud of them. Okay, to get started, as I said, not including Lesotho or Swaziland, we've got 19 birds. That's at 19 are true endemics, who are only restricted here to be, restricted to be in SA. We also have a breeding endemic, which simply put is that they migrate to South Africa and breed only here in the world. The only place they come to breed is here in South Africa. Once they finish nesting and done their bit of breeding, then they leave and they go back to where they came from, and that is the South African cliff swallow. But in my next couple of podcasts, I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about these 19 birds, and then I'll include the near endemics. But I'd like to also talk about this breeding endemic that we do have here. Made in SA. That's the way we can start this whole thing. So I'll tell you what, let's get stuck in. What I am going to do is I'm going to start with 4 of them which are endangered, and they are vulnerable. 3 of them are listed as endangered, and the other one's endangered, well, vulnerable, becoming endangered. It could be endangered by now. And these are the ones that we here in South Africa really, really need to look after, because once we've lost these little fellas, these little guys and girls, oh man, then it's gone forever. And so the first one I want to talk about is the fynbos button quail. It's also known as the Hottentot button quail. We have 6 button quails found in southern Africa, but this little bird will only be found in the Cape, down the eastern coast. They are normally be found in the mountainous fynbos area, where that is along the coast there. And can you believe it? First of all, they're endemic, and they're only found in a certain range, so it makes it a bit easier to go and find. But if you go in that area, there's no ways, if you really want to start bird watching, and you hear about these endangered species, and they're only in the small little areas, it's well worth your time. Take the time, chill out, go around and keep looking for these birds, because it's going to be so brilliant to actually find them. These little fynbos button quails, they're basically very small. All quails are small. They're around about 15 centimeters long, and do yourself a favor, and I've mentioned it quite often, you've got to get field guides, really good field guides out there. I have mentioned quite a few of them in my previous podcasts. Go and have a look at the picture of these birds. If you don't have one, get on the web, type in fynbos, this button quail, and have a look and see what they look like. It's very difficult to actually explain some of these birds, especially the brown ones, and you'll hear me talking about it a little later in one of the later podcasts. I'm going to talk about LBJs, little brown jobs that people call LBJs, and for me, I love them actually sometimes more than I love the ones that people are more aware of and more common, because these things are time and time again overlooked a lot, and most of the time all of them got most beautiful calls. So I am going to spend some time on these little brown birds, but these quails, they have well, especially this one, they're like very straw-like coloring, and they've got bright orange legs. They normally make a little scraping under sort of some bush, or dare I say fynbos, or even under a grass tuft, and they put a bit of grass in there on the little scrapings, and then they normally lay about 2 to 5 eggs. And as I said, they also be known as the Hottentot button quail, if you didn't know where to look. So the problem that we have with a lot of these birds, why they're becoming endangered, especially these birds and the ones I'm going to talk about now, is the clearing of the trees, the natural forests that we have, the commercial afforestation, taking away these beautiful forests we have and putting the other afforestation in its place, and plus alien tree. You've got this alien tree invasion that also causes a problem for a lot of these things. But I'm not going to try and make well, go onto the guide and have a look at these. The next endemic endangered bird that I'm going to talk about is Botha's lark, or Botha's lark. Most of the larks are normally very drab looking, brownish birds, but man, can they sing. They sound beautiful, most of them. And this one has like a sort of chiree call. Chimney. I nearly went into song there. Like chiree. I just don't know how that's going to come across. But as I said, go and listen to them on one of your on your birding guides. And they have, it's a smallish, compact little lark, and it's got like a conical type of orange beak. These birds can also be found in one certain area, and that's around the Vaal catchment area, or somewhere in the highland grassland areas. And as I said, if you go into these the guides that we have are so fantastic, because they actually mark out exactly where the areas are where these birds can be found. But these ones specifically they love being in the grass, but only the shorter grass. They stay away from the longer grass, and you won't find them in any of the rocky areas, but mostly in the short grass, and normally hop around. And the one thing that makes me look twice when I do look for them, if you do sort of look around the area, they tend to fly in circles, and then they drop vertically, poops, and then they land. They're overlooked, as I said before, because they're like brown birds, and they also lay around about 2 to 3 eggs. The next endemic bird, which is also endangered in South Africa, in fact, it's critically endangered, and it's also a lark, a little brown job, a beautiful little lark with a wonderful call. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to try and imitate this one, because it's really too difficult. But I keep referring back to the bird guides. They have the calls. A lot of them have got the calls. Then if not, just get on the web, put there Rudd's Lock. I haven't mentioned what the lock is named. It's called the Rudd's Lock, RUDD. Yes, Rudd's Lock, Rudd's Lock is found in the same area um, as the other lock, and you can normally spot them. They're normally in singular or in pairs, upright position, hopping around, and I tend to find them when they're calling. They call when they're going around in circles, only about 30 meters up in the in the sky. They go around in circles and they call. They're really, really beautiful birds, and when you, as I said before, they could be so easily overlooked. But these things are found in the grassland, also in shortish grass, but it can be distinguished from most of the others by this like a median stripe that it's got on its head. It's like a buff-coloured median stripe, and it's got a fairly shortish pink beak. That is the Rudd's Lock. The last of the endemics that I'm going to talk about, which is vulnerable and moving towards endangered if it's not endangered already, and that's the Cape parrot. We have quite a few different types of parrots in southern Africa, but this is the Cape parrot. It looks a lot like the grey-headed parrot, but you'll see that with this one, the female's got this like an orange patch on its forehead. So at the moment, there's only less than 1,000 of these parrots left in South Africa. I mean, how bad is that? And these numbers are actually continuing to drop. You know, there's low breeding happening, and they've been caught for trading. And so people catch these birds and they trade them for pets and send them overseas, or they do something. It's just so sad. But they can generally be found in the Eastern Cape and the Amatola forests and around Port St. John's, Tartar area, but mostly around about those, Yellowwoods. They love being in Yellowwood. You must probably find they have most of the time in a dead Yellowwood or something, they've got cavitated holes. There are little cavities in these trees, as I said, mostly dead trees like the Yellowwood, and they feed a lot on the Yellowwood. So where you see a lot of Yellowwoods, you might find this beautiful green, beautiful Cape parrot flying around there. They are they're very raucous, and that's another one I'm definitely going to try and imitate. And they're normally called before they fly, and then you'll see them flying. They're very swift when they fly, and they know exactly where they're going to go. They normally fly from forest to forest, and they've been known to fly as much as about 100 kilometers to go and look, to forage for food. So they go from forest cluster to cluster, and as I said, up to 100 kilometers away sometimes to get the food. They normally monogamous, and they'll stay together with their partner for the rest of their lives. But if the partner does for any reason pass away or gets let's rather put it that way, it will look for another partner, and on average they lay around about four eggs, but normally only about one or two are actually hatched and fledged. As I said, they look a lot like the grey-headed, but they have this pink or orange foreground, the females, and they've got a very big, robust beak. So, but you must watch these birds when they caught the female. They have a beautiful way of displaying. But do me a favor, go and find one of these birds and go and have a look at the courtship little display that they have for these beautiful, beautiful Cape parrots. So there we have 4 of the endemic birds, and as I said, I wanted to only talk about these ones here. And as you heard me list them before, it's the button quail, or fynbos button quail. Was the first one, and told you where you can find these things. Then we have the 2 locks, that's the Porter's lock and Rudd's lock. They also can be found in the sort of highlands there, Heilbronn, up that way area, and the catchment for the Vaal, and the Cape parrots, which will be in the Eastern Cape, and of course, as I said before, the fynbos button quail can also be found in the Eastern Cape, but closer to Cape Town. It's very, very small little area where you can find these button quails. But these are the 4 that I've actually spoken about right now. We do have 19 to speak about, but I am going to take my time because I think it's really important for us to know and understand these endemic birds, especially if I'm talking to a lot of South Africans out there. It's nice for you to know exactly what birds are local and can only be found here. And I think it's really important, especially these endangered ones, that we can do something or get involved with different projects that are happening to try and lift the amount of numbers of these birds again and take them out of the endangered categories. If you want to contact me, and I'll put you forward to, or maybe what I'll do the next time before I start, I'll actually list a couple of organizations that are involved with these things. So if you do want to get involved, it's so brilliant to get involved. And the most important people really are the public, and it's up to us to sort of look and see what we can do about these birds. So I hope you enjoyed this little chat that I've had this week. And from here down the coast where I stay at the moment in this beautiful Umdoni Forest near Pennington by the Umdoni Golf Club. Hope you enjoy this, and until next time, cheers from Big Al.